Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
Do what you want.
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day's only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a...
There are things...
Tell us. What happened?
I met a Francis Sanders.
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him
He knew Sarah Hawkins.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
Sanders started screaming and...
Convulsing? That doesn't...
Then his body got all crooked.
What in God's name? And you were alone with him?
He accused Sarah Hawkins of being the culprit.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed some? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack down.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
He's right. We can't ignore the truth.
But it could drive her mad.
Better madness than ignorance. Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband...
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Let us go now and learn the truth about what's happening on this island.
The other night's events are still confused in my head.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders? I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here. You know each other.
Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, Detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me. May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday. I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
He started raving, screaming that a dimensional shambler had found him.
Oh, mercy, that story again. Why have him interned?
That was when he began to convulse and twist with pain. Or terror, it's hard to tell.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not really sure of what I saw, or what I didn't see. But it's best that you weren't there.
I should have been there. What you're telling me is outrageous. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
With all due respect, Mrs. Sanders, it was you who sent him to this asylum, not me.
How dare you? What was I supposed to do, Detective? Upon seeing such a brilliant mind disintegrate in this way, waking with a start every night with him shrieking in horror, petrified before this accursed painting, unable to look away, until he managed to gouge his eyes out with his own hands. I should have listened to Dr. Fuller, let him intern him months ago. If I am to be condemned, it is because I did not act sooner.
I'm not here to condemn you, Mrs. Sanders.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
How did you come to meet Sarah Hawkins?
We were the wealthiest and most influential families on Darkwater. Of course we would know each other. And when Charles returned from Europe with his sweet little artist, she and her sinister paintings were destined to catch my husband's eye. He bought many of her works over the last 5 years. They adorn his macabre gallery.
May I ask you what Miss Baker is doing here? How do you know her?
My business with Miss Baker is private, Mr. Pierce.
But you do know what kind of business Miss Baker is in, don't you?
I am no fool. Please believe that much, at least.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long. Did she really care for him after all? this dagger part of Sanders' collection, or was he seeking to acquire it? The day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives. Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler, "Finally." What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting? A house of artists. He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? Was she jealous of Sarah Hawkins? She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel? The Shambler. I need to see it. Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
Irene, I made a mistake. I fear that it might be too late for me. Nobody should enter, except to burn everything. I never had the courage. Pay somebody to do it. He's inside my head. I see him behind my eyelids each time I shut my eyes. I can't take any more. I can't hold him back. Forgive me.
Francis, I should never let them take you away. What have I done? Everything is my fault.
Irene, I made a mistake. I fear that it might be too late for me. Nobody should enter, except to burn everything. I never had the courage. Pay somebody to do it. He's inside my head. I see him behind my eyelids each time I shut my eyes.
A strange Amerindian pendant. I could use one of those. Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting, to finally give it away for nothing. An old diary.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
I'm not here to cause trouble, if that's what's worrying you.
Worry me? Don't overestimate yourself. If the last beating wasn't enough for you, I can always give it another go. But as long as you keep out of my way, you're free to carry on with your visit.
There's more than that, Miss Baker.
So people have been talking behind my back. I was almost beginning to like you, Mr. Pierce. But it stays cat for you.
You knew the Sanders?
Irene is a friend of mine.
I found this drawing of a dagger. Did you come across anything like it in your reading?
Perhaps. I saw several daggers in the ledgers. I could always check. What I didn't find, however, was the slightest reason why I should help you, Detective.
I don't need your services. I can manage all on my own, thanks.
Do it then. Not now, sweetheart. I'd like to read this without some snoop looking over my shoulder. Go take a hike, Detective.
These artifacts date from pre-Columbian times. The public entrance to the gallery. Why was he so interested in old weapons? The man transformed an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery. What the hell was that? Damn. This dagger looks different.
You sure you won't be needing that hand? You're losing it, Detective. At this rate, you're right. The bottle will get you before I do.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
It's nothing. I think I just drank too much.
That goes without saying. If you can't tell the difference between reality and fiction, then you're in real trouble.
My arm was disappearing into this painting. You must have seen that.
I saw you put your trembling hands on a collector's artifact. Where do you think you're going with that dagger?
It saved my life. It's an extraordinary dagger.
You should talk to Algernon Drake. He's an antique dealer here on Darkwater. He'll tell you all about it. From what I saw in the ledgers, it was him who sold it to Sanders.
The creature. This dagger was the only weapon capable of pushing it back. If Hawkins was trying to get rid of this shambler, she might have made contact with Drake. This antique dealer has a good knowledge of the occult. I have nothing to lose by meeting him.
You've got your spunk back. Go where you want. I'm staying here to talk business with Irene.